Hey y'all. So we're going to continue reading scriptures about what Jesus went through in his passion and crucifixion, so that not only was his blood shed for the remission of sin, but that his body was broken, that ours would be made whole. So let's go to Mark. I'm going to read this out of the Passion Translation. Mark 14. Mark 14:65. Then they spat on his face and blindfolded him. Others struck him over and over with their fists and taunted him by saying, "Prophesy to us. Tell us which one of us is about to hit you next." And then the guards took him and they beat him. And Mark 15:15 says, because he wanted to please the people, Pilate released Barabbas to them. And after he had Jesus severely beaten with a whip made of leather straps and embedded with metal, and he sentenced him to be crucified. Now here's where the note is, one of the notes about the whip. It says, this was a torturous beating with a leather whip that had sharp pieces of bone and metal at the end of its lashes, designed to inflict severe pain. Now, this next one from he was sentenced to be crucified, this talks about the Jewish culture, or the Jewish people living in and amongst with the Romans. So the Jewish death penalty was by stoning. It was the Roman practice to crucify only the worst of criminals. To have Jesus crucified was not only the fulfillment of the Old Testament prophecies, but also a fulfillment of Jesus' own words concerning the mode of his death, which would not have been fulfilled by stoning. So, the prophecy was crucifixion. And so it was the Roman practice to crucify, not the Jewish. So that's really interesting in the history and how those things took place. Now let's go to Luke. Matthew, Mark, Luke 22, verses 63 and 64. Now the men who had Jesus in custody, treated him with contempt, scoffed and ridiculed at him, and they beat him. They blindfolded him also and asked him, "Prophesy, and tell us who it is that struck you." And many other evil and slanderous and insulting words against him, reviling him. And then John 19:13. Hearing this, Pilate brought Jesus out and sat on the judgment seat at a place called the Pavement, in Hebrew, Gabbatha. Now it was the day of preparation, 19:13. It was the day of preparation for the Passover, and it was about the 6th hour. He said to the Jews, "See, here is your king." But they shouted, away with him, crucify him." Pilate said to them, "Crucify your king." And the chief priests said, "We have no king but Caesar." And they delivered him over to be crucified. After all that his body was put through, then his blood was shed. His body was broken so that ours could be made whole. And we'll just, Psalm 103, 2 through 3, we'll end with this today. Bless the Lord, O my soul, and forget not one of all of his benefits, who forgives every one of all your iniquities, and who heals each one of all of your diseases. Bless the Lord, O my soul. You know, in that chapter, David is reminding himself, commanding himself, you will bless the Lord, O my soul. Meditate on all of his benefits, who forgives all of your iniquities, and who heals each one of all your diseases. Thank you, Jesus. We will pick up here on Monday. I'll see you then. Bye, y'all.